Good afternoon, team. Hope you're all well. Wanted to make this video about the number one tip or the easiest hack for staying productive as a man. Now, I guess there's a bit of an asterisk on the word easy because being productive all the time is not necessarily easy. It can often be difficult, pushing yourself hard the entire day. But I guess the word we're looking for is simple. How do you stay productive the whole day? How do you balance a whole bunch of different missions which would appear to conflict, especially in terms of the time that you're devoting to each one? You need to make yourself so busy that it's impossible to screw up. Now, what do I mean? Majority of people's problems nowadays is not that they're too busy. Maybe they claim to be busy, but more often than not, they have a lack of time management. So they're under the illusion of busyness, but they're not very productive, and they're often not achieving much in different areas. You know, maybe they're pushing forwards one specific area in their life. I mean, for most people, they've got their 9 to 5, and that's about all they need to be clocked out and unable to commit to anything else. But as I mentioned in my previous vlog, which if you didn't watch, you should, because I discussed some of this there, a big part of your growth as a young man or even as a young woman involves committing, biting off more than you can chew. You need to be pushing forwards on multiple fronts at all times. Let's take work, for example. Obviously, work earns you money, and that's its primary purpose, is putting bread on the table. But if you're not also learning new skills or progressing in your career, then those 8 hours that you're trading for money is much less useful or productive to me than if I am trading them for money, but I'm also trading them for skills and knowledge and discipline that I can then go and apply in another career or in another area of my life. If I'm only working 40 hours a week, there's only 8 hours a day. That leaves you a lot of hours in weekdays and even more hours in the weekend. You've got an entire Saturday, which you can do whatever you want in. You can take Sunday to rest. But that's a ridiculous amount of hours that you have to pursue something else. Most people are satisfied with the commitment of a 40-hour work week, of a 9 to 5, and they don't feel the need to push themselves any further. And because they feel that that commitment is enough, they never end up doing more, right? They just find things to do on Saturday. They go to the beach. They go to their mate's house. They go to social barbecues on Friday nights. And they get stuck in this perpetual cycle of wasting the weekend every single time. You know, they'll always give you what they did on the weekend. Oh yeah, I went and saw this mate. I went and caught up with this person. I ticked these jobs off the list. But you get to the end of the calendar year, they didn't make any extra money. They didn't learn any skill. They didn't study any degree. They didn't get involved with any sort of ministry. What did you do in those weekends? Like, put it down on paper. What did you achieve in those weekends? What did you achieve in that extra time you have? And they're going to give you nothing. You need to make yourself so busy that it's impossible to screw up. Okay, I'm going to be pushed at work. I work maybe 50 hours a week. That's already a lot. But I'm also going to enroll in this part-time or full-time degree. I might need a student loan. I might be paying it out of my own pocket. Regardless of how I make it work, this degree is going to take 3 years, and I'm going to get through it, whether I like it or not, whether I have to wake up at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., whether or not I've got to stay up late studying. I'm going to commit to it, and looking back, I'm going to be very thankful for my commitment to this degree, which opened up all of these other opportunities that if I had merely resigned myself to working those small amount of hours. Same with the gym, same with prayer, same with ministry, same with social media, if this is something that you choose to commit to. What's important is that you need to commit. You need to write these things down on paper You need to sit yourself, blink. Got a bloody seed down here. Write these things down on paper and hold yourself accountable. There's going to be days where you're going to feel pushed and you're not going to get enough sleep. You're not going to take a nap. You're going to work through your lunch break. You're going to gym on your lunch break. And it's going to feel hard and you're going to feel tired. But again, when you look back after those weeks, those months, and those years have passed, where you have been pushing yourself way harder, where you've got the slave master behind you, of course figurative, pushing you forwards. These are your goals. These are your commitments. These are the reasons why you're doing this. For your family, for your future, for the sake of the church, for Western civilization. You do that day in, day out, week in, week out, months and years go past, and you've built your house on a foundation of stone. You've built that discipline that yields peace and righteousness. You've actually achieved that. But what's it going to take from you? It's going to take the sacrifice of the present moment. It's going to take the sacrifice of pleasure. It's going to take the sacrifice of you pushing yourself and working your ass off, and people on the sidelines, at the pub, at the parties, who are looking at you as if you're some weirdo. Who does this guy think he is? Why is he working himself to death? Why does he always do discipline and no fun? But again, it's about that longer term vision. It's about committing to these things. It's about living life intentionally. And at the end of the day, guys, you talk to these people who are prioritizing fun and living a nice social life. Are these guys truly fulfilled? Have they left everything on the table? When their head hits the pillow, they feel satisfied. They feel like they're doing God's purpose for them. They have purpose in their lives. They have meaning. They feel part of something bigger. These people are all living lives of resentment. They're not happy with where they are. They're not happy with the money they earn. They're not happy with their job. They hate their job. But they still go there 5 days a week. They still hand over their life for some meaningless purpose. But they'll still critique you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to follow the same path as them? Resign yourself to that same fate? Or are you actually going to take a couple minutes of your life to sit down with a pen and paper and write what you want? Write what you feel called to. Write what you wish to achieve. And then you need to execute. Now again, I challenge you, if all you're doing right now in your life is working a job that you like, but you don't particularly feel a great calling to, or feel like it's going to be the career for the rest of your life, what are you doing? Are you learning skills? Are you learning things that are going to allow you to take the next step and develop further and progress? Are you taking the initiative and pushing yourself? Because if you're not, what you're saying through your actions is that, yes, I am happy. I am happy if I just do this job for the rest of my life. I am happy if I'd stick to this income the rest of my life. I am happy if nothing changed, because you're doing nothing to change. You're doing nothing to better your situation. So make yourself so busy, especially when you're young, with your different skills, commitments, languages, projects, whatever. Keep yourself busy on productive things, so when you are 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the track, I'm capable of so much. I've got these network connections through the jobs that I've done. I've learned different skills like sales and video editing and whatever, that I can actually choose. I've got that freedom of choice. I've got that opportunity in front of me. Well, look, God, I worked faithfully for all of these years, and you gave me these talents, and I was able to get these fruits through your grace and through your blessing. And now I'm actually able to fulfill what you're calling me to. because I've been faithful to that call of duty and to that call of discipline and to that call of commitment. And now there's this beautiful open field, this field that's ripe for the sowing. That's where you want to be. Again, as I've said in many videos, it might not be the job that you started in that you end up in. Statistically, it's almost definitely not going to be. But with that commitment and intention that you're living in the present day, you're opening the world of possibility in front of you. One final point, my dad has a good friend he owns a bunch of software companies, but he buys businesses all the time. Like, he's a very wealthy man. And when he finished uni, I think he did a physio degree, he started working at McDonald's and he became a manager at McDonald's. And then he got offered the regional manager job. Now you might think, well, man, whoever works at McDonald's might be an absolute bum. But this guy worked his ass off. He probably learned management skills, he learned financing skills, he learned reporting skills. He got offered regional manager position in a small country of New Zealand where there's probably not even that many of them. And he probably took a lot of those skills that he learned working in McDonald's to then found a software company and become a very wealthy man in other avenues. Now, that might not have been his result if he hadn't put his nose to the ground and worked his ass off at McDonald's. So yeah, do with that what you will, but that's the video for today. I want to expand on this concept a bit more, but really if I had to summarize it in one phrase, make yourself so busy that it's impossible to screw up. You've got all of those commitments in front of you and you're just working and grinding 6 days a week, 4 a.m. to 5 p.m., it's impossible to fail.